After having read the task, this is the plan that I have devised for how to solve it. So when we start the script, we call a main function where we initialize a list to be empty. This is the list where we will add all our terms. And then we go into a loop. It didn't say anything about that the loop should end sometime, so I will just keep in the loop forever. I have, however, written the false here so we can see that if I later on decide that it should be possible to exit the loop, we can do that. But we can see here in what's happening in the loop that we never ask for if we should exit the loop. So if we go in here, in the loop, what shall we do? According to the task, the first thing that should happen is that we shall print the terms that we have so far. After that, we read a new term, and if it's not already in the list, we add it to the list. If it's already there, we don't do anything. But we go either and add it, or we don't do anything, then we go back and read more terms. And as I said before, we can see that in this loop there is no way for the user to say that they want to exit the script. So I followed the instructions literally. I didn't add any extra exit option, but I have it here so we can see that, all right, if we later on want to, this is how we could exit. Now let's try to implement it, and I will start by creating a script. And now that we have our script, let's start by adding the main function and also to initialize the list. And while I'm at it, I can also add the loop. Alright, let's take a look at what we should do now. Now we should create a loop, and we can also add the rest of the code here for printing what we have in the list so far and reading a new term and see if we can add that. So I will add all that should happen in the loop at one time here in the code. Let's see how that would look. So here we have the code. We can see here that, all right, to print a list, we just give it as an argument to the print function. And after that, we saw that we should read a new term from the user. We do that on this line here, so we read something new from the user. If whatever they enter is not already in our list, so if it's not in the list, then we add it. If it is in the list, we just skip it. Let's try to run the script and see what happens. So we can see that it first prints an empty list, but if we add one synonym here, we can see that that is now in our list. I'll add another, and maybe a third. But if I add one that's already in the list, it should not add another element which is the same as the previous one. We should keep the ones that we have. So if I write develop, we see that we don't get 4 elements. We still have 3. And there is no way of exiting because we didn't add that in the code. And that is something that we can take with us from this task, that if we see something like this, maybe it's a good idea to go back and check that we have understood everything correct. Maybe we should update the task at hand to actually be able to exit. And besides that, something that we should take with us from this task is, of course, how to use lists, how to initialize them. Here we initialize it as an empty list, and how to add more elements to the list.